Things you put your mouth on. I created a mouthpiece for my trombone.
I made a whistle that doesn't actually work.
And I made an ice cream that's really small. First, I used an inverted cone, and the base is at the top. And it's 20 millimeters by 20 millimeters, and the height is 20 millimeters. Next, I put a half sphere on it that the base was 20 millimeters by 20 millimeters, so it fit exactly at the base of the cone. And then I put a thin torus around the base of the cone and the base of the sphere. That one was 22 millimeters by 22 millimeters. The hole was 20 millimeters by 20 millimeters, so it fit around that. Then I added another sphere, or another half sphere, and that one was 16 millimeters by 16 millimeters at the base, and the height was 10 millimeters. It started 30 millimeters from the tip of the cone, so it overlapped with the other half sphere. Then I added another torus that didn't actually fit very good, so it twisted around, but that one was 20 millimeters by 20 millimeters and 2 millimeters thick. So, like, the hole was 18 millimeters by 18 millimeters. And then it just went on top of the first sphere and touched the bottom of the second sphere. And that's how I made my ice cream cone.
Right. The outside of my design was pretty simple, but it's in two parts. I designed the outside and then the inside. And the outside, I used cylinders for the base and then a widened cylinder around here so that it stops in my trombone. And then I used a cone to get this angled support right there, another cylinder, and then just a ring around the top. That part was pretty simple. Then the inside, to direct the airstream better, the inside is rounded out. So I took a sphere and lengthened it so that the center of the sphere was about here. It was about this big in total, and then it hollowed out the center. And then the design on the center of the base is another cone that was stretched out so that it was taller, because it needs to be a thinner diameter here and then wider out here so that the airstream is directed to the center of the mouthpiece and then shot out through the rest of the instrument. Another aspect of my mouthpiece is that it's symmetrical all the way around, because that way the airstream does not get bounced around. It's, no matter where it goes in the mouthpiece, it's all directed towards one point. One thing that I didn't do was that on the center of it, it's just kind of a 90-degree angle where it lips in, and I learned after that it needs to be curved more because of the way that your lips move when you play it, so it doesn't play very well. And also, this base, instead of being a cylinder, should have been slightly larger in diameter at the higher section, and so it didn't stop in my trombone where it should have. It just slid all the way down, so it was more airy, and I'm not going to play because I'm in a library, but it plays pretty well when you buzz, but in an instrument it doesn't sound too good.
So my 3D print was a whistle that again doesn't work. Anyway, the shapes and stuff are still there. So first I'm going to talk about the form. A form is a three-dimensional shape that can have the appearance of 3 dimensions, or it actually is 3 dimensions. So in this case it's the cylinder, which takes a two-dimensional shape, which is normally a circle, and makes it 3 dimensions by stacking holes on top of each other. Next is the balance, and there's symmetry in the whistle, but only when you look directly from the front or the back, because you can cut it in half vertically and it's symmetrical. But because I have this rectangular box attached to the cylinder, it sort of ruins the normal symmetry of the cylinder. Next is proportion. So the volume of the cylinder is actually quite a bit larger than the volume of this rectangular box here. So I think that sort of draws your eye to this little tiny box because it's different than the rest of the shape. Let's see. Oh, scale. So this is actually quite a bit larger than a normal whistle, but I think that's good because it sort of exaggerates the differences between the cylindrical part of the whistle and the part that you put your mouth on. So now for more of the artistic themes in the whistle are line. So you have the circular lines of the cylinder interrupted by the straight lines in the mouthpiece. Color. So I chose orange because whistles are normally black, and the black just sort of smooths everything out, so you can't really tell all the distinct differences. Next is texture, and it's just the weird plasticky stuff that the 3D printer uses, but it actually prints in line with the cylinder, so it sort of elongates it, makes it feel longer than it really is. Good idea. And now for the university studies objectives. So first, we thought that locating and gathering information was a big part of this project because we had to find a lot of information about mathematical and artistic terms and apply it to our shapes.
Another one was communication skills. At the start of our project, we all had to come up with ideas for things that we could make and then find some sort of relation between all of them. And then once we came up with that theme, then we were able to break apart and create our own objects.
Another one was the ability to integrate the breadth and diversity of knowledge. Because we had to take information from math and art, and we had to bring them together and connect them to make them make sense.
Next would be the aesthetic responses. And so we all had to create a 3D print that was, one, pleasing to the eye, but also in a manner that we could explain the mathematical and artistic things we wanted to about it.
And then the last one that I used was understanding of experiences and the ability to relate them to the present. And I used that because I didn't choose the right shape for the base of mine and didn't fit, that knowing what I know now, that I would change that so that it could fit in my instrument better and hopefully produce a better, less airy tone.